Good morning, everybody. So there is just a litany to go over. I'll let everybody kind of funnel in here, and then we can kind of start. But there's just a ton of information going on today, and a lot of stuff to address, and we'll get right into it. But let's just let everybody funnel in first, and then we'll go from there. And let's just go here, put this link in a couple spots. So let's just keep on going. Get set up here. All right. So I'm going to give it a minute for everybody to funnel in. These start at 8:30. So if you're not subscribed to the channel, just click subscription and notifications because you get notified automatically. But every one of these starts at 8:30 now. That's what we've been doing. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Good morning. So finally picked a name, Coffee and Charts. I think it pretty much sums it up what we do every morning. So let's just get right into some of this. So, this was something, I'm going to get rid of these indicators for a moment. And I can get rid of this. This is just, frolics from before that we moved out of the way. I just really want to discuss what's going on here because it's kind of poignant. And then we can kind of throw in the RSI again. But this is your top. This was another support level. You're clearly through everything, okay? And on top of that, you've reversed here. You have a bearish engulfing at the top of this. You formed an H. You've broke the H. And if you want to get super, super technical, let's get rid of all annotations. This is a left shoulder. This is a head. This is a right shoulder. This is like the exact opposite of what you want to have happen. And the reason I bring this up is this is where your wedge line starts, okay? So you've broken this line. So you can head back to this level. This can get fairly ugly. So I would just be really cautious if you're trading any of the Bitcoin or crypto names out there, because this could get a lot worse than people think. I mean, that's the biggest thing I wanted to cover. And look, since you began this, and this is a really important metric for people to understand, since you began this move, you were through the 50-day or the 50 level on the RSI. This is the first time that you're actually threatening to come below there. So you need to really watch this level. This is pretty poignant stuff. So, I mean, there's a litany of earnings to get through, but I'll just start running through ideas, and then I'm sure all the earnings names will start popping in here as well. So, but overall, I would really watch Bitcoin here. I'd be not very happy if I was an owner today. I have some old LICD stock at 20. Do you think it's going to go up from here or just sell it, eat the small loss? Let's take a look. LCID. So to me, I would just be out. I wouldn't even, it's not even a question for me. Look, you have a company trading at a $44 billion valuation. There's not even 100 cars. Like it's insanity. You have Tesla crushing them. You have Audi and Porsche that people are going to want way more than this car. I just don't see it. I mean, I know that they did a lot of product placement and they're trying to get out there, but look, overall, no, I don't see this as being this killer that everyone thinks it's going to be. And let's just go through this and let's get rid of all these lines. Okay, wick rejection, wick rejection, wick rejection. I mean, how many times do you have to see that you have a seller up here, right? So for me, just pick the most poignant line. So, and then on top of that, not being able to break that, here, look at this bar, right? Does that look like something that you want to buy? No, that's a reversal bar, which we've seen over and over again. So I would just move on. I mean, it's not something I'd be in. I would sell it and just move on. All I can do is give you my opinion on what I would do. I mean, obviously, you have to make your own choices and your own decisions. But it's not something I'm looking at feeling warm and fuzzy about. So, Brian, I don't know if I can look at Shiba on this system. I'll try. I'll take a look in a minute. Hey, Sina, how are you? Facebook. Look, Facebook's on my short list. Okay, I thought you might rally. We didn't rally. We broke, and we broke pretty specifically. So you need to get above this 50-day as fast as humanly possible. And, I don't see that happening right now, right? So if that's not going to happen, that's not something we're going to want to stay in. That's really broken. And what you're starting to see is you're starting to see stuff like this where we can't even break above, right? And we just have constant selling. So I don't see any reason to think that's going to change. I mean, when I first started putting a short on here, it was up here when you broke the 50-day. And you can see we've never even gotten close to having to cover it. I mean, there's just really been nothing to do with it. Just leave it on. Now you have to write it in the earnings if you were that, if you wanted to or not. But I still think it's a short. I think that's really broken. If you look at this here, let me just show you this. Okay, that's not ideal. Okay, at all. Like that's really, here's your upward trend, and you broke that here. Like that's just not ideal at all. So I would be really cautious here with Facebook. It's not something that I would be getting into. Hey, Nicholas, good morning. So it's not something I'd be getting into at all. Isaiah, I don't know if I can look at that on this system, Brian. I'll try. I think I'd have to switch systems. I'm not going to do that this morning. USD. See if that'll pull it up. Yeah, it kind of does pull it up, doesn't it? Gives me this weekly. Let's go to the daily. Go take a look. Look, this is what I got. I mean, there's not really much to say. Look, it's just until this thing breaks down, it's just going to keep going, right? I mean, I'm not really stating anything emphatic about it. If we want to get super specific, what I can do is I can drill into like an hourly and see if we can get something on it, because you really can't even look at this, right? So what you could do is you could kind of come here and look for levels and see what you find, and see if you find some levels for it, and then kind of go from there and see. It's still, even though it's a thin name, these levels still exist, right? So, I mean, these are your levels that I would be watching. If I broke this, I would be concerned. If I broke this, especially after I came down to it and tested it. So if I broke this and it was a short-term trade, I'd be out. Here I'd be out, right? I mean, you can kind of see those levels, right? You can kind of see where you're at. I mean, here's another one. So I don't know how long you're trying to stay in this for, but they would be the levels that I would be looking at. AMD. So AMD had great numbers, okay? And the numbers on AMD just might not be enough to get it going. And we've seen this in the past. I don't know why we're doing that here. There we go. And they might not be enough to do what we need it to do, right? So that's what you're looking at here. Here, look. So see how you broke out and then you tried to keep going. Now you have this bar here. Okay, that's essentially a gravestone bar, which marks highs and marks tops. You actually had one here, right? And you could see how that kind of marked the top, right? You couldn't get back over that level once that gravestone was there. You kind of tried and then you failed, and then you got wonky for a couple months. You could see something like that here. This is not an ideal bar. Now, looking at that, if you start breaking below that bar, that 121.80, that's not going to be great, right? It had decent earnings, but we just don't know how those earnings are going to play out. So for me, I would really watch this. This is not something that I would be, jumping into at all. It's something that I would be watching. It's not something that would really get me, feel that I have to be in, is the best way to say it. So let's just watch what happens with it. But I'm definitely not chasing it. I have a NVIDIA trade on, so it'll benefit from that. Crocs. Yeah, I mean, you should be able to see this. I mean, here's your, but if you can't, let's just draw it. So here you have your bearish engulfing reversal, right? That's not great. You broke here and now you're down. You try to get above. Every single rally is met by what? A wick and a wick. So, I mean, until I got above this level, or let's just call it this line, this 160.75, I probably wouldn't go near it. It's probably not something that would be on my radar that I need to own, to say the least. IIPR, DDD, ZIM. So these kinds of names have been moving fairly decently, right? This is pretty much exactly what you want to see. I mean, there was your level. You've never looked back since you've been in at that level, right? So, I mean, the only thing I would hope is that you get some kind of pullback to that level in order to buy it. Maybe you get it, maybe you don't, but that would be ideal if you could get that. Other than that, I'm not sure what the move is here. You could say that if I take out the higher high to just buy it and own it. It could very well just keep grinding higher. This was when we were in, we did fairly well with it. We rode this up. Then we got stopped out here. Then we had these shenanigans, and now you can see where you're back to. So I like this, and I think this could do very well. But I would be looking for some kind of pullback, maybe to the 254 level, if we could get fortunate enough to get that. I'm not in a big hurry to chase anything here, I guess is what I'm getting at. DDD, look, you're right on this trend line again, right? And you're right at the 50-day, and you're unable to break the 50-day, and you're still below the 200-day. So this is not something that I'd be rushing into, right? It's not. I'd be standing back and watching what's happened. It's not something that I'd be jumping into. ZIM, look, right? See where you're at on the 50-day? Okay. So you can kind of see what's going on here, right? So that, again, that's not something that I'd be really rushing into here. So let's take a look. LLY. So, yeah, I mean, I kind of get this move. You could see this continue. You have, look, there were earnings. They're out. Everybody's over it. The interesting thing is you got above the 50-day yesterday, right? So you got above the 50-day moving average. And then on top of that, you've been respecting the 8 the whole time. So on earnings, and the earnings weren't stellar, right? Like it wasn't a huge windfall from I watched a portion of an interview with the CEO, but what we've seen is you've seen buying step up, and that's what you're looking for. So I like this a lot. This could go. I mean, this is a very simple trade. Just get above that level, right? And you just don't want to close below the 50-day moving average. I mean, it's a decent spot to buy it to see if it's going to work or not. And it's not going to be a huge mover, but you could get back up to here. You could see 10%. That's not the worst thing in the world, right? So you could see that. That can work. So, yeah, I think a lot of people are buying puts on it just because they don't want to lock in their gains for the year. You have earnings, right, tomorrow. Who knows how they're going to be? Or I'm sorry, that's actually today, probably after the close. Who knows how they're going to be? Nobody has any clue. They should be decent, but we just don't know. You just don't know how they're going to be. So that's really what you have to look for. But to me, I kind of like the name. It's a name I've been trading in. A name I've been telling people that I think they should buy and put away for some time. I mean, again, here's what I've been saying. You have a 22-year base that finally broke, and now you're forming this after 22 years. It's not the worst spot in the world to be. So I really like this, and I think this could continue. Yep. Hey, Jay. Good morning. Yeah, I kind of like the name myself. I'm going to stick with it. Yeah, I think that they could. I think it could push the other names higher. It was a decent quarter, right? So let's go here to EMPH. It's a decent quarter, and let's get to this on the daily. Okay. And let's just look at what's going on. For me, my level that I was watching was this. I'm clearly through that this morning. Now, how this trades this morning, we're going to have to see. I have a hard time buying things that are up 18%. But this looks like, I mean, it could rip. Look, it's done this in the past, right? So earnings move the stock up or down, right? They do have a move associated with it. But I mean, this was pretty powerful last night, and we'll have to see how this plays out. Now, that said, it's not just something that I might just look for a trade through that level. Does this mean you play the other names? You can. I mean, look, people are going to play this one into earnings. That's for sure, right? I mean, they're definitely going to play these names into earnings. Now, there's no question about it. So how are you going to do that? Well, that's something everybody kind of has to figure out and make a decision how they're going to do it, right? For me, I don't know. I don't know how you do that. I think you just very simply, keep moving your stop up. SPWR, is that the other one? Some power. So yeah, I mean, you could see the same thing here. I mean, for me, the one that what would be most interesting to me, you could play this two ways, right? This is how you could play it, Raphael. You could go and say, I'm going to buy the one that's up the most, that has the most amount of action. That's this one, right? Or you could say, I'm going to buy this one because it hasn't moved enough yet, right? So there's a couple different ways to look at how you would do this. I would just say that if you want to play it, this is the one that you play. You play the one that has already come out with earnings and already has the momentum behind it, because you don't have earnings risk and you could possibly stay in it a little longer. So, I mean, does this continue to go? Maybe. It's not really showing signs of weakness right now at all. It hasn't been all morning. It's definitely on my radar. This was my level that I wanted it to break, and it broke it, right? That's what I was looking for, and it broke right through that, and it's just been going ever since. So maybe it continues. I mean, here's the move from last night, right? Your first 15-minute bar determines everything, right? Right after that bar, that was it. It just kept on going. So it's pretty impressive, to say the least. And it just kept running. I mean, there's not really much more to say. So I like the space, and I think that space could work. I have to remember to click off of these. Let's just keep going here. CELH, LEV, and STEM. So CELH. So, this keeps doing this over and over again, and this line is becoming kind of mute, right? Like, it's kind of becoming like not really overly important. You're just kind of riding this line over on both sides of it. But every time I break out, I get a red wick. I mean, it's not really a ringing endorsement of something that I have to jump into. So I've just been avoiding it. It's not something that I've been looking at. Can it keep going higher? Sure, and maybe it does, but it's not something that I have a lot of confidence in at that level. It just keeps rejecting it until it clears all those people out and has like a big defined move. It's not of interest to me. Getting above this level would be big. You're above the 50-day, but you really want to get above here, whoever's up here selling. And you can see you've already rejected there. So that's not something that I would be looking at. STEM. Yeah, I know a lot of people love this name. You've tried this before where you've gotten above this 50-day and then it's failed. I don't see any reason to be looking at this until you're over that 200-day moving average. Let's see. So let's just keep going. So, out of the three you gave me there, CELH looks the best. But every time we get up here, it just does the same thing over and over again. Etsy, look, you tried to break yesterday. Okay, you're coming into earnings. It's kind of an interesting move for the stock because earnings in and of itself have not been great, right? They really haven't. So, especially for the space. So it's kind of interesting that you're trading up into it. Just be aware you have earnings coming up, next week. So what do you do here? I don't know. I think you have to sit, watch, and wait, see how it plays itself out. MQ, like I know a lot of people are playing this MQ and they started playing it yesterday. Look, it broke out. I mean, that's what you want. That's what you want. That's what you're looking for. So, maybe you get follow through today. I really don't know. I don't know if you're going to get that follow through or you're not going to get it. You're going to really have to watch here and see how that plays. But it's not something that I'm jumping into, to say the least. I'm glad it's moving for people. Don't get me wrong, and that's a big move up. But I need to see some follow through here and see how that's going to go. That's just not something that I'm overly interested in right here. So, I mean, look, you can see this really cleanly. I mean, this is just looks like it's just going to monster and just keep going. So, keep that in mind. I mean, that's definitely one that I would have on the radar today. I mean, it just keeps going, just keeps looking great. MQ, look, you want to flip this level before you think of adding to it. I mean, I definitely MQ, I'd want to be above this. In regards to the solar names, again, you have two schools of thought, right? You either buy the one that everybody's buying, right? That's bidding up 20%, which is somewhat hard to swallow, right? To buy something up that much, or, you look at like SPWR, you look at the one that's not up the most, that's in the space. So that's the only decision that you can make, obviously. And let's just keep going. Yeah, I don't know, Brian. I mean, you just buy it and then you just stay with it, right? You just buy it and you just look, stuff like that. You just buy and then just be willing to lose whatever you put in. Hey, Nicole, do I think that there's a pullback at Tesla? I don't know. I know yesterday's bar was really, really ugly. And for me, I need to watch that level. Other than that, it's not something that, I know, like this is not the bar that I wanted, right? I actually wanted it to do one of these yesterday and then build for a while and then trade up. And that's not what we got. What we got was this huge blow off and, middle finger essentially. So it's not something that made me feel very comfortable with the position. So, this breaking this is a pretty nasty pattern, and we're pretty far off these averages and any type of support. So it's a long way down, and it wouldn't be the first time that it's broken out and then corrected, right? I mean, you've done it here. You've made an all-time high, and then from there you've gone from 900 down to 500. So I would just really watch this level on it, Nicole. I'd be really careful. So, yeah, I mean, I think that I like it more. Frankly, I mean, look, here's your trend line. You're not breaking, you're just hanging in there. You're down, from the high. What are you down? Let's call this the high. What are you down? You're down 10% from the high. It's a little bit of a correction. If you go and take a look at Bitcoin, okay, and you mark it from the high to the low, right? You're down 14%. So you're not going up as much as Ethereum when it goes up, and when it comes down, you're going down more, right? So what do you? Right. So that should answer your question. And I also did not break the 21-day, I don't believe, on this. And I haven't broken my trend either. So, maybe you're seeing a shift. But if I had to pick between the two, I would be buying Ethereum. Let's just keep on going. Tons of questions here. Yeah, spot is definitely one that should be on everybody's radar. This should definitely be on everyone's radar. I mean, the earnings today, this is exactly what you want to see with spot. Like, look, they have the single largest base of any paid subscriber group in the world. Okay. I mean, you can't make it up. And that's exactly what you want. Like people want that business. I mean, constant money coming in every month, and no one has um, no one has a larger subscriber base than them, and they look extremely good. And I think it's going to continue. Frankly, getting above this 200 day, that this is what you need. You need to get above this wick, right? And then you need to get above this and stay above this. So yeah, this is very interesting to me, and this could work. I like this trade a lot. It's definitely, I'm not going to lie, I mean, it's definitely on my radar today. I'm glad you brought it up. I mean, I thought I'd get more earnings questions today, frankly, but I like it a lot. I mean, the earnings were very, very good. Revenues were up 20%. Like if you go through it, so I don't know what more people are going to want from it. I think that you really need to see how it plays out. But look, it's telling you what it's doing, and I don't know what time the conference call is, but I'm imagining it's going to be later in the day, and I'm imagining that that's going to be fairly good when they start talking. I can tell you in a moment. Let me just see if I can find out real quick when that conference call is going to be. It looks like it's already started. So, that's good. I mean, and it's moving like this. It's definitely be on my radar. Let me leave it at that. Etsy recovered. Hopefully you saw that, Naresh. If not, let me know. I'll cover it again really quickly. JD, like, look, I think you just have to be careful. I just covered Tesla, and I'm going to stick with that level. Now for NVIDIA, NVIDIA is one that I'm in and we've done fairly well with, but you got right to the top of this level and you rejected. So I need to hang in there. I need to hold. And I need to not break this level, because if I do, I'm going to have a problem. So my hope for these big names that have moved pretty aggressively is that they put us in a position where they just grind before they go higher. That's my hope. Now, I don't know if I'm going to get that or I'm not going to get that, but that's my hope. Hey, Robert. Yeah, look, I mean, you have a reversal there, and then this is what you're dealing with after hours. So looks like you opened up, ran, and now you're pulling back. It also looks like earnings this quarter were less than last quarter. So I don't know what everybody's expecting, and I don't know what the earnings call was. I can just tell you that that's not something that I would be going near. We're up here, and now we're up 137. Now we're at 122. Yeah, I mean, it's not something that I would be chasing. That's for sure, right? I mean, you broke out, you opened on the news, you went higher, then you went below the opening price, and now you're at the low of the day. So, and I know it's a thin name, but that's not something I would be chasing. Fubu and Sun W. So Fubu still has a lot of work to do. I mean, you could be doing this for months, if not a year, just basing, finding that bottom, right? I mean, that's all you're doing there. So I don't see the big hurry there at all. We've played these breaks where they could run back up again and form handles, and it's just not working, right? I mean, I've tried it a couple times. We've made some money on it. Sun W, like, look, some works. Let me just get rid of everything here. I mean, what's your hurry here? You can't even get above the 50-day moving average, and you keep respecting that, right? So if you keep respecting that 50-day moving average, why do I want to be in that? Doesn't make any sense. Google, I thought actually had a decent quarter. But it's Google. It's not going to go anywhere. I mean, it's going to just slowly grind higher, right? Unless the market comes in, then it's going to follow the market. There's nothing really to do with Google except continually add to it if you just want to own a cash cow, right? I mean, even when you sold off, you're only up like 2.5 times from the sell-off versus how some of these other stocks are up like 10-fold, 20-fold. Like, it's just a cash cow. You just buy it and just hold on to it. I mean, that's really what you do with it. There's not much more to do there. Okay. I don't know how to be clearer on that. Like, I'm not saying not to buy it. I'm just saying that, you just have to buy it and just hold on to it. UPST is one that, looks to me like you could have some issues today. We're going to kind of see how this bidding down goes. But to me, yeah, I'd be really careful here. I'd be really careful. So that's not the move that you want to see yesterday. That's not what you want. What I wanted to see was a reversal on bad news, right? Someone downgraded the company price point. What I want to see is I want to see a rally, and that's not what we saw. So we're going to have to just see how that plays out. But I wouldn't be a buyer. If anything, I'm on the other side of it. Maybe there's a short here. I don't know. Look, if I can get down to this level, I'm interested. If not, I'm definitely not buying it here. You're just in no man's land. So there's just no real edge there whatsoever, to say the least. I don't see an edge at all. So I would just avoid it unless it sells down. MQ, Ross, I covered. Hopefully you saw it. Let's do XM. Yeah, I mean, it's not something I'd go through, Ross. You see all these wicks? All these wicks are price rejection. So I don't want stuff that's rejecting. I want to buy stuff that wants to continue to go up. So that's really what I tend to look for. Casa. I mean, I wouldn't go near this. I mean, all you're doing is just going down. There's no reason to go near this. You just keep respecting that 50-day. Maybe if you get over the 50-day, it could go. But until then, I wouldn't touch it. Oh, you're welcome, Bob. Anytime. Good morning, John. Can I look at CVS? Sure. CVS. So, yeah, I mean, that's breaking out. You're breaking out there, right? You're breaking above this level. You're breaking above this level. I mean, you look like you could shoot to here, right? 90. You're breaking out. I mean, that could go. PayPal. Yeah, I keep waiting for that bounce in PayPal, and we're just not getting it, right? I mean, the stock was in the 70s, right? It was up here before their failed talk, and now you can't rally. So I'd like to see it rally, but we're just having a hard time with that. So I would avoid it. I would avoid it until it can figure out what it's going to do. But I guess people are still shorting it. Maybe they're worried about earnings coming up. I don't know, or they're selling it, one or the other. But it's just not acting right at all. You're welcome. You're welcome, Nicole. Hey, Evan. What do you think of ELF? So you're coming into earnings. So you know how I'm going to feel about it. I'm going to tell you to not go near it till you get out of the earnings. There's your level. There's that wick, right? So do I want to buy that ahead of that? Probably not. So it's not something that I would do. It's just not. I would sit and watch, but I would watch it. I wouldn't get into that right now. Yeah, I'm not crazy about that. I saw that, Azor. I'm watching that. I have a bunch of screens open while we're talking, and look, this is not where you want to see this morning. This is the exact opposite of what you want to see this morning. My hope is that maybe some other of these names, like the solar sector, is going to carry the day, or maybe Tesla gets a bounce. But this is not the move that you're looking for. So I'd be really very apprehensive to get involved with this AMD. It's getting worse. And you're seeing that throughout these names as time goes on. Like, as we're talking, like I'm watching these getting worse and worse on the day. Like they're not, like here's Twitter, and I thought Twitter was going to be pretty ugly, but here's what's been happening with Twitter ever since the open. So, it's not getting better for some of these names as the market's getting ready to open. So I'd be really curious about, you don't want to chase this stuff, right? You want to watch, but, maybe we'll get a leader today. Maybe Tesla will continue. You just don't know, right? You have to have a game plan. You just don't know. But as long as I don't break that, I think you're golden. As long as you don't break that level, I would stay with it. But to get back to your question with AMD, this is the exact opposite of what you want to say. Like it's not good. AEHR, I like the way it's been hanging in there. So we have it in the newsletter. I don't know if you're asking because you follow through the newsletter, but you're up we're up $5 on it. Look, I have a stop on it. When I hit my stop, I'm out. I mean, if I break that level, I'm gone. So that's it. And you have to start watching stocks when they get to the 8-day and they just start breaking it like nothing, right? Sometimes you'll get a bounce through that and then you'll go back up. And that I actually played this bounce right here and I made some money on it, but I'm out. And then this rejection yesterday is like the exact opposite of what you want to see. It's not really what you want to see, Nate. Or Nat, I apologize. CNC. I think you're seeing healthcare move, and I think you're seeing these names move because people are looking for safe havens right now. That's how I feel. I feel that we're starting to see some safe haven moves. I'm not saying that that's going to continue or not continue. I'm just saying that's what we're saying. So let's consider that as a sign of something that we should be paying attention to say the least. That's where my head is with it. So, but other than that, let's just keep on going here. Good morning. Yeah, please like the video and please share the video. The more people we get in here for this, the more ideas we get, the better we all do. Good morning, buddy. So I like Microsoft a lot. I mean, look, the three best reports last night, okay, are ENPF, right, Spot, and Microsoft. Period. I mean, that's this morning, Spot, but they're the best reports. So I actually like Microsoft here, and I think it's just going to keep grinding higher. I think it's going to be the thing that lifts the SPY today more than anything. I mean, their report was excellent. There's nothing really to say that was negative about that report. Nothing. So I like it. I like it a lot, and we'll see how it goes. You've been up to 319 already today, and maybe this is the thing that gets it to break out. You've been up here already, and you tried to hold this level. That's why it's so important to look at these levels after hours, because they give you support and resistance levels, right? So important to look at them and see where you're at after hours. And you can see how you did right here and then broke out, went above it. So overall, I think you're good. But I think you really have to, you have to watch here. You have to make sure that this market sustains itself this morning and it just doesn't roll over. I mean, that would be my biggest concern, especially after yesterday's action, right? So, hey, we haven't talked about pay or bros. So hold on one second. Let me just, let's talk about pay. So pay to me, look. Okay, I like it. Okay, and I think it's something that could curl and keep going. But that said, you see this move? I like this. Like when you start coming down here, right? And then you get above these higher highs. I like that. I mean, that could go. I don't know what the earnings are, but something like this is exactly what you're looking for to trade up to like that 30 level and go from there. That could work. That could totally work. Pros, look, let's go through it this way. This was your down day, right? You shouldn't have done that. You broke out here. All I did yesterday was this. Let's form a little wedge. That's all I did. Okay. Now you put that in here and you can see where you're at this morning, right against that wedge line, right? So I don't think this is over. I've been saying that, you broke out here over 62 and all you're doing is staying above it. So I don't think that moves over. I think it could continue to go. And really all you'd have to look for is getting above 72, right? And if Bros gets above 72, you could probably keep going. So it's something to consider. It could keep going. So let's just go here. APP. So this is one we have in the newsletter. We're in a little cheaper. Oh, look, you came down, you tested that level, right? But let's just review that, okay? And then you bounced. I mean, you did exactly what you needed to do. I don't see sense doing anything with it. All I'm doing is forming this, right, pattern that's really setting me up to break out. Hold on, let me just show you that. I mean, that's really just setting me up to break out. I like it. So. Good morning, buddy. Yeah, I mean, look, it's definitely moving. I mean, can we? Yeah, absolutely, it can keep going. It could absolutely keep going. There's nothing broken here, right? You just need to be careful, but you don't really want that kind of bar. Like, you just don't want this bar. Does that mean it's broken? No, it just means that it has the possibility to break. Right? There's a big difference between am I broken and can it break? Right? And that's what you're looking at here. So that's the differential between the two. I'm not so sure that it does break, but I know that I want to protect my profit. Like, look, I mean, some of the stock we're in at like, in the 700s. So from those trades. So, I mean, the first spot we bought it was here, right? I mean, from here to here, we're up, 300 points, 42%. Like, I need to protect it. So, and that's one of the points, right? So, I mean, these were the 4 points that we put on. So this is a very large position. So for me, yeah, I want to protect it. Do I think this could keep going? Yeah, I do. I think this has massive potential. Like, if you look at this on the weekly basis, this could just keep going. And I don't see any reason why it can't, but I need to protect my capital. Spot, I went over. I'll do it again. And let's just keep going here. I'll just do it again really quickly. Look, on spot, let me get to the daily. Okay. Look, this is exactly what you want to see. Okay. That's the move that you want. So now you just have to see how that plays out. Okay. But overall, yeah, I like that move a lot. I really do. And I think that could continue to go. I mean, it was one of the top 3 earnings reports so far between this morning and last night. So I do like it. We did cover UPST. Look, you're in kind of no man's land here with it. Okay. You're kind of in no man's land. So you broke the 21 day. You can't break above the 8. So you're just kind of bouncing around in here. Like, what's my hurry? Do I think I'm going to run back up to here? Maybe it does. Maybe it does bounce, but I just don't like it. To me, it looks like you could just roll and sell right back down. I would get interested if we can get to like 290, right? Maybe there's a bounce there, but look, from here to here, I mean, like, this is not ideal, right? I mean, you're down 23%. Like, that's not an ideal move. So we're just going to have to watch how this plays out, but that's not something I'm willing to jump back into. So, all right, everybody, I got to get going here. Time to go get paid. Any questions, just reach out.